Rabbi Sai, welcome back. We are up to the last parak of Yerushalmi Terumot. Well done for keeping on all this way from the beginning of the Masechet. The last parak. Now, in terms of the cycle, generally, the current Machzah, Terumot finishes around 3 days after Pesach, I believe, or a couple of days after Pesach, and then they start Maasros. We'll probably be starting Maasros beforehand. Maybe a couple of days after we finish Terumot, we'll start Maasros, and then we'll have a break over Pesach, okay? So we're up to 11th parak, which is Daf Tzadi Ches Amud Aleph. We're talking about various types of fruit. If you're allowed to do things, various uses with fruit of Truma. So Einos in Devela or Groigos, you've got pressed figs, dried figs of Truma. Don't start putting them into your fish stew. Vivnei Shul Ma'avdon. Because by doing that, you're ruining them. By the time you take them out of the stew, you start squeezing them and you throw them and you don't want to keep it. And you can't destroy Truma. You're allowed to put wine of Truma into this stew in order to sort of sweeten the stew. Right? Sort of pitum it's called. You cannot use oil of Truma. You can't put in the oil of Truma various spices in order to give it a spicy taste, because some of the oil gets absorbed in the roots of these spices and therefore gets lost that way. You can make from the wine of Truma yinumilin, which is some sort of mead. It's a sort of spiced wine, because that's the way it's drunk. They may put a bit of honey in it, peppers, whatever it is, konditor, it's always called. So the reasons why we forbade the oil don't apply to the wine. The problem with the oil, some of the oil gets absorbed in the roots of the basamim, or the basamim ruins the taste of the oil. Now with the taste in the wine, you don't have these reasons, there's no loss here, they mix well, the spices and the honey, and it's drunk together, and the wine remains fitting for drinking, etc. The taste is improved. Do not cook wine of Truma because you are reducing it. And we'll see what that means. What does it mean, reducing it? So basically, two understandings we're going to see. Reducing it might mean by cooking it, you're reducing the volume of the wine. Or, because you're ruining the taste, you'll reduce the number of people who want to drink it and end up getting lost. So there's two understandings there. Rabbi Yehuda allows you to cook the wine of Truma. He says through cooking it, you actually improve it. Right? And again, this idea of improving depends on Machlokes HaMaaraim. Okay, we'll come on to that. So do not put these dried or pressed figs into this stew, into this fish dish. Tali related about it. So nice in Devela or Groigos, you're allowed to put these dried figs of Truma l'tachamaris into the stew. Kedech shenois in tablin, like you put spices of Truma into this dish. But you should not squeeze the figs to bring out their moisture and then throw them away, because then you are ruining the figs. And that's what we learned in our Mishnah. You cannot put Devela Grogos into the Murias because you are ruining them. It's 11th parak, yeah? You are ruining them, and you'll squeeze them and you'll make them lose. You'll lose them. But the tablin, now with spices of Truma that you put in a dish, mutter, you can squeeze it and take them out. That's what they're made for. That's the normal usage, to give taste into a food and to squeeze them, and therefore it's not considered a loss. Suraya tablin, you've got a bit of spices of Truma. You first put it in a bunch of spices. First you put it into one dish, and then you put it into another food. In Batel Tama, if the taste has been ruined or nullified through the two dishes that it's gone into, Muta, then Israelim are allowed to eat it, because it's not considered not eichel anymore, it's considered like wood. V'im lav, and if not, also, if not, then it's forbidden for Zorim. So, once it's gone into one food dish, and then it's gone into another one, right? And now, by the two cookings, it might have been cooked together twice already, there's not much left on it, so anyone can eat it. But if there's still taste there, then it's forbidden. Ma beino, what's the difference between these besamim, this a bit of spices, where the taste has to go away before Yisrael can eat it? Levein hasheves. Now, sheves is a type of vegetable. They usually translate it as dill, I believe, where you're allowed to eat it straight after it's been cooked, even if the taste is still there. So what's the difference? Like Tony, have we not learned? Hasheves shedas tamar gedera. When the sheves of truma is given taste in the food has been cooked in it, ein bar mishum truma. There's no problem with the truma anymore. And einam tamar tumah sachlin. It doesn't have tumah. It can't receive tumah foods. Once it's been cooked once, it's not considered a food anymore. It's like wood. So the Gemara answers with sheves mishulchan asanach. That which was already yours, they gave you. Basically, but din really it shouldn't be forbidden at all. Din it shouldn't have any tumah foods at all. There should be no din of truma on it because it's not there to be eaten on its own. The Chachamim said yes, the sheves does become tamei tumah foods, and it's chayav din truma. So it's only the Chachamim who said it. And they also said since it's given taste in the gedera badla, then it's butter. It's only also drabanan. They were lenient. Whereas the tablin, the spices which the Brisa spoke about, is proper food in our Torah. Okay? Therefore, as long as there's a taste there, we cannot allow it. Our nicest yayin amuris, we said you could put truma wine into the stew. Rav Chia b'shem Rav Yechla, the Rebbe, this is the view of Rebbe. The Tani relates to the Brisa, yayin l'tamurias, wine into the stew. Rebbe allows you to put the wine because he says it improves the taste. Rabbi Lazar of Shimon, I say, he forbade it. He says it doesn't improve it. It's just removing the bad smell. It's considered destroying the truma. The Brisa continues. If you went and you did put the wine in the morias, Rabbi Isa Lazarim, Rabbi forbids that fish stew to Israelim because it's got a taste of truma. And Rabbi Lazar of Shimon, Mati Lazarim, he allows it because according to him the wine doesn't improve the morias at all and it's batal in the morias. Rav Mana Rav Tanchaba, he asked, according to the one who allows the Morias which has got wine of Truma in, because the wine is batel, then Morias shall goyim. Now we've learned in Avodah Zarah, the goyish of stew is also to eat. Lama also, why is it forbidden? The worry is that the Nachri might have put some yain nesach into it. Okay? Now according to Rav Shimon, even if you put yain nesach, the wine is batel, so it shouldn't be a problem. So Rav Yemi of Shem Bava, he said, according to Rav Shimon, it's not also because of Ayin Nesach. The reason is, it's cooked, and there's Goyish cooking. B'shulei Goyim hen asorim, right? It's forbidden because a guy's cooked it. That's why it's forbidden. Hasi Rabbi Yosi asks, the whole time, we've learned in a Brisa, in Avodah Zarah, that if it's made through an uman, right, through a master chef, when he prepares the morias, it's mutter, it's permitted. B'she'enai uman, when it's not made through a chef, right, a normal balabas, also it's forbidden. So the proper chef, he doesn't put the wine, he doesn't cook it, whatever it is. Well, that's the thing. It seems with a proper chef it's okay, a balabas it's forbidden. Now, if you're going to tell me the reason is, uman mutter, now the reason why the chef is permitted, it must be not cooked. Because if it's cooked, there's no difference between chef and non-chef. It must be it's not cooked. So, if it was cooked, then definitely be forbidden even of a chef. Because b'shulei nachrim, there's no difference between chef, not chef. So the Chevah says, so similarly what the Brisa says, she'eino omen, when it's not a chef, also it's forbidden, that must be, even though it's not cooked. You can't tell me the problem is bishul, or filo eino b'voshul. It must be the issue is not because of bishul nachrim, it must be because of yain nesach. So the question comes back. According to Elazar of Shimon, according to him, the wine doesn't give any taste. Why is this morias, why is this fish stew forbidden? So the Gemara just brings, first of all, Amr Yechla Mariah, another din. Afilu, Commander Amr, even according to the one who said Uman Mutter, when the chef, whatever is permitted, the Vapi Yadea, that's when you're sure that the Uman really knows what he's doing. He's a Baki. Some say you can rely on him, that he's not going to stumble to give you something with Yain Nesach.
Well, that's that wouldn't mean that you know him.
It says here the explanation is he's an Uman who's Baki in his work. That's how they've explained it here. Otherwise, if it was just known personally, it would say Makira or something like that. It doesn't say that. It says Yudea. So it's only if he's a craftsman, a Baki, he knows his work. And they're saying the notes, some say of Sha'is that you know him and rely on him, that he won't stumble by giving you Yain Nesach. Okay. But they don't just rely on that, no monas. Sorry, they only rely on that with an oven because he doesn't usually add this wine into the muris. Okay. Hadar. Now the Gemara comes back to answer the question. Why is it the muris of a nachri is forbidden according to Rav Shimon? Hadar. It tells you the reason between muris, which has got yain of truma, where Rav Shimon allows it, and then muris, which has got yain nesach, which is forbidden. Hanayas truma multeres, hanayas avodah zarah asura. He says the reason why muris of goyim is forbidden is not because of taste, it's because eating the muris you're benefiting from the yain nesach, because the wine is mevatel the bad smell of the muris, and getting benefit from avodah zarah is forbidden. Whereas yain of truma, the muris which has got truma wine, we're not going to forbid because of the benefit, because that benefit of truma is permitted to Yisrael. So the reason is the problem of benefit. And with truma it's okay, with avodah zarah it is not. We said you shouldn't cook truma wine because you are reducing it. And Rabbi Yehuda allows it because you are improving it. So now we come to an argument. What does it mean you're reducing it? So who said what? Tanakama said you can't cook wine of truma. Rabbi Yehuda allows it. So let's see. What does it mean you're reducing it? So Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yochanan, they argue what does that mean. So one says, look, you're reducing the volume. And therefore you're destroying truma. The Harav, and the other one said, you're causing less people to want to drink it. Because wine which is cooked is very strong, and not everyone drinks this very strong wine. So not everyone wants to drink it. Now, so there's two reasons then why is the problem of cooked wine. Either you're reducing the volume or you're ruining the taste. Now we don't know which Amora told us what. We had Rav Lazar and Rav Yochanan. We don't know who said what. But what we can try and work it out. Now we're going to work it out really from a sugya where we went into more depth of it in Daf Kafei, and we're just touching onto that sugya here. Mimah, now we'd learnt in the Mishnah there. We learnt in our Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda allows you to cook truma wine because you're improving it. Now earlier on Daf Kafei, you're saying, so you're telling me according to Rabbi Yehuda, cooking improves wine. And yet, on Kaf Daled Amud Beis, where we brought the words of Rabbi Yehuda, it took on that wine which is cooked is worse than Eino cooked wine. And you're not allowed to take truma from cooked wine for Eino Muvushal wine. Not cooked wine. Yeah, you're not allowed to take truma cooked wine for not cooked wine. You can't take truma from bad for good, right? So we asked a contradiction. On the one hand, we said you can't take truma from cooked wine for non-cooked wine. And yet, in our Mishnah, we say Rabbi Yehuda says, oh, you're improving it. And there was also Rabbi Yehuda, so we have a contradiction. So over there, well, so Da'ar Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan said, look, I can't explain this contradiction. We have to change the opinions around. We'll have to change around the Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah. It's not Rabbi Yehuda who says you're improving it. Rabbi Yehuda says you're making it worse. And that fits in with what we said on Daf Kov Daled. Okay? So that's the way Rabbi Yochanan explained it. That obviously we've got the opinions wrong. And that the view of Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah is changed round with the Tanakhama. And you've got to say the opposite. Rabbi Yehuda forbade you to cook truma wine because you'll make it worse. The Chachamim allow it because you're improving it. He says the truth is the Chachamim hold cooked wine is better. They argue on that Mishnah earlier on. They hold you can't take truma from cooked wine for non-cooked wine, right? So that's one version of events that we've obviously got the opinions wrong, and we changed them around to fit in with earlier on. That's what Rav Yochanan said to explain the contradiction. But Rav Lazar said, Eina muchlefes. He says, no, you don't have to swap them around. You don't have to swap around Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanakhama. Rabbi Yehuda can allow you to cook wine of truma because it improves it. So why is there no contradiction? Because Tamar, now Tamar means our Mishnah, we're talking about the Cohen who wants to cook his truma wine to drink it. He wants to do it with his truma wine. And that's permitted according to Rabbi Yehuda, because the wine will last longer.
But it's also his.
It's his,
So
but he can't destroy truma. The only reason he's allowed to cook it, because it will last longer. He wants it to last longer. He's going to drink it. He's not going to throw it away. The taste might go a bit, but it will last longer. That's another word from Rabbi Yehuda, how he explains. That's Rabbi Yehuda here. But Khan, now Khan is the other Mishnah, But Baalim is talking about Israel who wants to cook it and then give it to a Cohen. He wants to take truma of cooked wine for non-cooked wine. Rabbi Yehuda forbids that, because non-cooked wine is better for drinking than cooked wine. And you can't take truma from bad for good. And that which Rabbi Yehuda says in our Mishnah, you are improving it. Now, the Cohen wants it to last. It's not necessarily improving the taste. Not that it's going to be better for drinking, but through the cooking, it will last longer. And that's considered an improvement in the eyes of the Cohen because he wants it to last longer. So that's Rabbi Elazar's way of understanding. That the reason the difference is the Cohen or the Yisrael. The Cohen cooking it is okay, and the Yisrael taking truma with it is forbidden. But we don't have to change Rabbi Yehuda around. Now, from the answer of Rabbi Elazar, that the truma of Rabbi Yehuda we can now out because the wine lasts longer, then the wording of Tanakama Shemamatoi, it sounds like the Tanakama held you're reducing the volume, and therefore you have Rabbi Yehuda's answer. Well, yes, but you might be reducing the volume, but it will last longer. So it's not considered a destruction in volume. We don't look at that so much. Because, you're right, you're increasing the time you can drink it. And that's more important than the small reduction in volume. So that's how we understand that that Rabbi Yehuda, you can allow the wine last longer. The Tanakhama were the ones who held the Marta Vidasa, right? That you're reducing, from Rabbi Elazar's explanation, that the reason is the volume going down. If you're going to tell me that Shemamatai when it says you're having less people drinking it, that can't fit in with Rabbi Elazar. Because Rabbi Yehuda is answering back, we should allow it to last longer. Now, we can't start ruining the truma and reducing the number of people drinking it just because it's going to last a bit longer. You understand? If the problem is less people are drinking, then, it will last longer. That doesn't help me. Less people are going to drink it, so it doesn't help. So therefore, you see from here, the fact Rabbi Yochanan didn't answer like Rabbi Elazar. However, Rabbi Yochanan was the one who said that the Tanakhama's understanding was you're having less people drinking it. And then we didn't answer like Rabbi Elazar answered it, because based on this, the Tanakhama holds less people is drinking. You can't learn an answer back the way Rabbi Elazar explained it. Okay, so based on the answer back, we worked out that who said what and who held of which reason. Yehuda ben Kani, Rav Imi Shem Shlakish, he said you mustn't cook wine of truma, b'neisha, b'mata, b'shoisav. You're causing less people to drink it. This is another Moira who says the same thing. Okay, now halacha beis. Devash tamarin, you have date honey, v'yen tepuchim, and wine from apples. V'chomet sivstabonios, which is sort of vinegar made from the grapes that harvest during the autumn. The shah koimei perishal truma, and other fruits of truma apart from wine and oil. So if a zar drank them by mistake, Rabbi Elazar Machayev, Rabbi Elazar says he obligates the drinker to pay karen b'chomesh, like anyone who eats famous truma b'shogeg. According to Rabbi Elazar, the drinks, the juices that come out of this fruit, has got the din like the fruit. Yeah, so this cider and whatever it is, this date honey, you got to pay karen b'chomesh. Rabbi Yeshua Paiter, Rabbi Yeshua says no, these drinks are not considered proper drinks, so you don't have to. Rabbi Elazar B'tamei Mishum Mashkin, Rabbi Elazar's got a din of Tumas Mashkin. Like, he holds that fruit juice is considered a mashke as far as Tumah. Rabbi Yeshua said, Lai Manu Chacham Yeshua Mashkin K'moni Patamin. They didn't measure the 7 types of liquids, when they counted 7 liquids received Tumah, right? Dew, water, wine, oil, blood, milk, and bees, honey, right? They never included, they were careful with those. They weren't like a peddler, you have your list and you add here and take away there. Ela they said, Shiva Mashkin Tamei, there's 7 liquids which are Tamei, Tumas liquids, Shak and Mashkin Tahirin, and all other liquids are Tahar. They don't have their Tumah. Okay? In Bavli it says, the reason for Yeshua's din, that mashkin is not like the fruit, is because he holds all liquids are zer ba'alma, right? They're not the main essence of the fruit. Although he might bring a pasuk, but he explains the reason of the pasuk based on his own svara. Okay. Some say it's because they're not the derech to squeeze them. So if the minig will change and you start squeezing them, then the liquids that come out will be asim and Torah, even according to Rishon. Okay. Right, let's carry on. Okay. Now, let's explain the argument of Rabbi Lezer and Rishon. But boy, maybe the one to say, when they're arguing, we're chomesh. Rabbi Lezer says you have to pay the fifth. Rabbi Rishon says you don't. But Karen, maybe with the principle, after Rishon, Rabbi Rishon agrees you have to pay. Like a thief, Truma is moment of the Cohen. Ma'apligin, when they're arguing the Sha'aba, after you've already drank it. But Tchila, in the first place, after Rishon, Rabbi Rishon agrees you can't do it. He's got Kedushas Truma with Rabbana. Tanina, now we've learned in a price that Dvash Tamarim, the honey from dates of Tevel, Rabbi Lezer Chaim Maestris, Rabbi Lezer learns with Exer Shava Truma to Tevel, just like Truma, the Mashkin is like that, so Tevel as well, the Mashkin is like that. Rabbi Yeshua Pater, Rabbi Yeshua Pater from Maestris, you don't have to take Maestris even Lechatchila, and therefore may pairs of Truma be Mutter Lechatchila, because we have Exer Shava, the Tevel to the Truma. Right, so you see, we've learned according to Rabbi Lezer, you're Chaim Maestris, and Rabbi Yeshua says you're Pater, and nothing at all. So same thing with fruits of Truma, may pairs, it should be permitted. Right? So Khan, the Gemara answers, in our Gemara, Rabbi Yeshua forbids the liquids and says you have to pay the Karen, is Shazavu Mishanitvalu. The liquids ran away from the dates after they became Tevel, right? After they Gemar Malacha, they've been brought in the house. So they're Tevel. Then the liquids are Chayav Truma Vid Rabbanan, and the Truma is also to Israelim, and any liquids that come out from fruits that's already become Truma is definitely also the Zah. They can, in the Bryce of Yeshua Pater's Dvash Tamarim from Maestris, it's talking about Shazavu, the liquids ran away from the dates before they were a state of Tavel. Then there's no Chiyuv Maestris on the date, honey, even with Rabbanan, because it came before the Zman Issur, there was no Gzera. Now we brought a Brisa, with view of Rabbi Lezer, the date honey is Chaim Maestris. Now we bring another opinion, who explains Rabbi Lezer slightly differently. Tiny letter of Rabbi Nassalai, but he says, "Let Rabbi Lezer Chaim the Maestris." Not that Rabbi Lezer obligates in the Maestris. The truth, Rabbi Lezer agrees. May Paris is not Chaim Maestris. And Rabbi Lezer Omer, he says, "V'lo yocham and advash ashi asa al atmorim." It's Maisa Ayin. Don't eat from the day honey until you take Maisa for the dates. You follow? He says anyone who sees it will make a mistake to think that the dvash is Mechuyev Maisa. One who eats it is over Isur Tevel. So really the date honey is not, but it's because you must take Maisa on the dates first. Right. Then Meir Rabbi Lezer, therefore Rabbi Lezer Pascal, Shim is if you took Maisa for the dates, then I feel even if the dates are with you and the date honey is far away, Baspamia, which is far away, Dev Shalmuta, then the date honey is permitted. You only have to take Maisa on the dates, not on the date honey. But we want you to take Maisa on the date honey first. Okay? Milsa Amra, from the words of Rasim, we learn, Shuma Asim and Atzmarim, and Advash, and Atzmarim, Lefi Atzmarim. You take Maisa, the dates for the date honey, and the dates according to the dates. And through that, the date honey is corrected. Okay? Basically, there's no Chiyuv Hafrosha on the date honey. There's only a Chashash, it looks like you're eating Tevel. Right? And since you separate based on the dates, then it doesn't look like you're eating Tevel anymore. Okay? Right. So it's not really a Hafrosha on the Dvash, because then the Dvash needs to be nearby. You've got to be Mukaf nearby. But it's not that. Okay. Milse Amra. Now, the Tanakama of the Brisa argues on Rav Nassan, and holds Rav Lezer's Mechayev the actual date honey from Maestris. Milse Amra, the words of the Tanakama tell us that according to Rav Lezer, Huma Asim and Atzvarim ala Dvash. Take Maestris date honey for the 100 dates for the date honey, ala Atzvarim lefi Dvash ulefi Tamarim. And you've got to have a share both for the date honey and the dates. Since he holds, like Rav Lezer, you have to take Maestris on the Dvash Tamarim, then obviously the Maisa needs to be also according to the mid of the Dvash of the dates as well. So you also got to cover both. Rabbi Lezer v'tamim v'sham mashke. According to Rabbi Lezer, the fruit made Paris has got a tumas mashkin. Okay, and Tani will let Rabbi Lezer know Rabbi Lezer v'tamim v'sham mashke. Know that these liquids, fruit juices have tum of liquids. No one agrees they don't have tum of liquids. What are they arguing? On fruit juice, where a bit of liquids of the 7 liquids fell in. So a bit of water fell in the fruit juice. Rabbi Lezer with Tamish Mashke. Rabbi Lezer says the whole thing is Tamei Mashke, right? Because a bit of water's fallen in. But Chachamim say Hachinach Harav, you follow the majority. Al Da'ati Rabbi Nassan, according to Rabbi Nassan's view, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, Rabbi Lezer, Shlosh and Amr Davar, they all said the same thing, that liquids are not bottled in Mei Peres. Rabbi to Amar Meir, as he said elsewhere, Ein Mei Peres Mavatlin La'olam. Fruit juice never cancels out any water that falls in. As it says in Tosefta, if a bit of drops of water fall into fruit juice, tiny bit, it can be tamei. That's Rabbi Meir's view. He holds the water is not bottled in the fruit juice, and it can receive tumah. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, he holds the tani related to Machshirin. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov over tzir tahor, sort of fish brine, which didn't have any water in it, therefore didn't receive tumah. Shenava l'techem mayim kol shehu, bit of water falls in, tamei. It can be tamei because of the water. The water is not bottled in the brine, and the brine can now receive tumah because of that drop of water in. And Rabbi Lezer also holds chadein, like we've learned the din of Rabbi Lezer, the hacha here, that he passes to Rabbi fruit juice where a bit of liquid falls in, is tamei. So you see the mashke is not bottled at all. If Mei Peres water falls in, the whole thing can be tamei. Now the argument of Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua, based on the Tan of our Mishnah, who holds, they're arguing, are they a mashke as far as tumah is concerned? So let's see their reasoning. Talmud Rabbi Lezer. The reason of Rabbi Lezer, because it says any foods which shall be eaten, which comes in water, is tamei. V'chol mashke, any liquids in any vessel is tamei, says v'chol. So we're all liquids, even if it's fruit, is considered tumah. Ma Talmud Rabbanan, what's the reason of the Chachamim? It says asher yishaseh, that which is drunk. It's got to be something normally drunk. Fruit juice is not normally there. The fruits are not there normally for squeezing, therefore they're not included from the pasuk. Ma Rabbi Lezer, what's he said to the Rosh Rabbi Lezer? Kubishmal, Duama, he holds in a brisa which mentions the 13 midas, right? The Torah is darshan in Taz Kohen. The Torah says prat uklal, then hakol bechlal. When you have a general, a specific followed by a general, okay, hakol bechlal. The klal really includes everything. Now, and the prat really doesn't reduce anything. So Rabbi Lezer holds here as well. The Torah first said mayim, but then it says v'chol mashke. So therefore anything, all liquids have laws of tumah. Ruba ben Yishmael, and the view of Rabbi Lezer is more than Rabbi Yishmael. Why? Because because here Rabbi Lezer says afilu, even when the Torah says prat uklal, v'chaza, so you had specific, general, v'chaza upar, then put a specific again, we still say hakol bechlal, that everything's included. Because after it says mayim, right, and then it says on all liquids, then it says asher yishaseh, anything which is drunk. So you've got a prat, which is a type of liquids, and now even though there's prat, uklal, uprat, Rabbi Lezer said we include all liquids. Whereas Rabbi Yishmael himself holds, when it's prat, uklal, uprat, it's got to be like the prat, which is what we've seen in Bavli a lot, right? But he's saying no, once you've got prat, uklal, it's everything, even though there's a prat later. But Prigari the Kisri, he said, the dinner of Rabbi Lezer fits in completely like Rabbi Yishmael. No, he's not going further than Rabbi Yishmael. Completely like Rabbi Yishmael. And had it been prat, another prat after the klal, you're right. Rabbi Lezer would agree you can only be ke'en a prat, like Rabbi Yishmael said. Ella, he says, Rabbi Lezer holds there is no extra specific at the end. Because according to him, the words it can be drunk is not a prat. It's for another drosha. To exclude liquids which are smelly and not fitting for drinking. And he says, that which you say, the words asher yechel, that which can be eaten, to exclude food which is smelly, doesn't receive tumah, it's food that is rotten. Kain isli, I also have the words asher yishaseh, that which can be drunk. Parat lemashke saruach, to exclude liquids which are smelly. It's not for another prat, but it's for a different din. Oh, they said back to him, that which you say, you want to exclude smelly food, so therefore exclude smelly drinks, is not the same. Because in a matzah ba'eichel, it's all very well foods that have gone bad don't have din tumah, because they're more lenient. Food that was smelly from the beginning hasn't got no din of tumah. Therefore, asher yachel, we can be lenient if it was fitting and now it's smelly. But taima, you're going to tell me mashkin, which are more severe. Food, water was smelly from the beginning. Tamei, it is tamei according to everyone. So just like mashkin are more chamo as far as a mashke saruach from the beginning it was smelly, it's more chabor. It should also be more chabor with liquids which were fitting, which are now ruined. So another pshat, you cannot compare food to drinks. It's all very well foods that have gone bad, got no din of tumah. Shekaim, we have food which a person eats doesn't need a thought to have a din of tumah on it. But Taiba b'mashkin, are you going to say the same with liquids? We don't find this halacha. Shekaim mashkin b'yuchadin la'adam, if it's there for a person to drink, tzrichin machshava, you need a thought to get a din of tumah on it. So since we find a chiluk between food and drinks as far as whether it needs a thought, it could be there'll be a difference if it goes bad or not. Now just because these liquids, they need a thought to receive tumah. Therefore, if it's bad from the beginning, it should be tameh. He says the liquids need machshava to receive tumah. It's not a chumrah like liquids. It's not that. It's a kula. They can't become tameh unless you want to use it for something, right? And therefore, we should say the opposite. Oh, the hain strichen machshavas. This liquids, look, they're so easy, but they need a thought to receive tumah. Therefore, it should be lenient as well with liquids that have gone smelly, that it should be tar. Yeah, mashke saruach mikar. If it's saruach from the beginning and smelly from the beginning, it should be tar. It says here, saruach mikar is lav dafka. He wants to even mashke saruach mikarai, where the Torah was a bit more strict, we should say it should be tar. And definitely a liquid which was fitting from the beginning and then got worse. Davar acher, another pshat. Amrullah, this is what the Chacham said to Beleza. La, he says, it's all very well food that's gone bad. Hasn't got a din of tumah. Because it's got a din, it's more lenient din as far as tumah. Sheken eichle behema la'adam, einam boin machshava. He said, look, animal food, which you don't eat, right, does not come to a din of food of tumah, by thought, by thinking about you eating it. It's animal food. It's not really fitting for you, right? You can't therefore get a din of tumah of foods if it's not fitting for you, just because you want to eat it. So since foods are more lenient, therefore the din is more lenient with food that's gone bad. Whereas taima, are you going to say the same with mashkin, which are more severe? Shken mashke behema la'adam, ba'im b'machshava. Smelly liquids fitting for an animal can get a din of a liquid by you thinking that you want to drink it, right? Even though you say smelly liquids is not considered liquid, but animal liquids you want to drink becomes able to receive tumah. So since we find that liquids are more severe than foods in this respect, therefore we should say that it should be more chamor, and even liquids which are saruach, which you never thought about, should also receive tumah. But Tani, the Bible brings a brisa that Beleza and the Chachamim actually argue about liquids that have gone bad. But Tani, we've learned in a brisa, it says kol mashke, to include all liquids for tumah. Ma'atam ulema sheisha said, and why does it say that which will be drunk? What are we reducing? What are we excluding? Perat lemashke saruach. Beleza says right, liquids gone bad, you exclude them. But the Chachamim said, he says no, liquids don't get ruined for drinking for birds or for cows, and since they're fitting for them, therefore the din of tumah doesn't go away. It doesn't go away at all because the birds will always drink it. Chavraya, the Shem Rabbi Elazar, the Yeshiva said the name of Rabbi Elazar, he agrees to the liquids that were smelly from the beginning, it's tameh. He only excludes liquids that were fitting for drinking and then went bad. But if they were smelly from the beginning, they are tameh. But we've learned in the Mishnah, now this is with olives, right? They stayed in the press before you press them. They were in the vat there, and the sort of the juice that comes out of these olives. Rabbi Elazar says it's tired from receiving tumah because it's smelly. It's not really fitting for drinking, and mashke saruach doesn't receive tumah. But Chachamim say no. A liquid which is smelly can receive tumah. And what do you see here? This juice is saruach from the beginning. Rabbi Elazar says there's no din tumah over here, right? And that's not like we said Rabbi Elazar's view earlier on. He's saying now saruach mikara, there's no din tumah. So the answers, Rabbi Elazar was talking about a certain type of liquid, as Rabbi Ila said in his name. Rabbi Ila, the Shem Rabbi Elazar, my Rabbi Elazar the Chacham, agrees, but may yama godo, the waters from the sea, shafilu in saruchin, even though they're too salty from the beginning, they have a din of tumah, because the Torah is a mayim. The Torah calls it water. Or mika mayim kara yavim. So as far as other liquids which are smelly from the beginning, like this juice of the olives, then Rabbi Lezer won't agree to the Chachamim, as we say in the Mishnah in Taharos. But as far as the sea, it's got a different din. Now, Rabbi Lezer learns the words kol mashke to include other liquids for tumah. There are exceptions. Rabbi Lezer, Yaakov Azavdi, Rabbi Vov, Rabbi Lezer, the Chachamim agrees, but made to rodin. That's water that you've cooked your spinach in or your beets. Of mei shalakos, water that you cooked other vegetables. She'ein and machshirin. They don't make the food to receive tumah, the food that's cooked with them, right? These beets or whatever it is. Even according to Rabbi Lezer, this water is not considered a mashke. It's got the taste of vegetables. It's not really considered water. It's a type of food. Okay? When the Chachamim mentioned the 7 liquids, right? They only mentioned 7. They didn't say, oh, there are others, but we didn't mention them. No. If a person will tell him there's really 8. Because fruit juice is another one. And while I tell him, water and you are one type, and then the Chachamim treat it as 2. Because they had a tradition, huh?
So you say bee honey and date honey is the same thing?
No. Only one is tummy. They're not. No. They're not day honey. We say no. There's only 7. In order to make up the minyan of Shiva, they mentioned dew and water as 2, even though they're one type. So he says, if there were any others, then Loman, and would they not have mentioned them? They would have counted them. So 7, we could have made 7 without including dew. And since they didn't do that, it must be that made peris, so fruit juice is not considered mashke, right? It's bees honey and not day honey. And therefore they couldn't add up the numbers to change the number of 7. They wanted to stay at that. If there were 8, then, as they say, dvash of tamarin is a liquid. But that's included in dvash. But that's not true. Because even dew and water they counted as 2. They didn't want to include it. Okay, to be continued, Rabbi Isai.